Alright, so I've got something just a little bit different from usual for you today, and today I'm bringing you an update to my previous IOD series builds, as well as a sneak peek into some IOD series builds I've got in the works, right? Now there'll be updated share codes in the description and comments. Of course, PC share codes, by the way, unfortunately not on PC. Not much I can do for you. The part list is of course right there, so if you just want to copy the parts, I'll also provide the paint numbers and stuff like that in the comments as well, right? Now, I've also given all the builds names. For example, IOD 1 is now named Elder Hound, and this build has actually seen no changes at all, right? This build is pretty much always form over function anyways, and I put a really big emphasis on the visual appearance of it, which I really love a lot. And considering this wasn't any particularly easy changes to make that I could fit without actually changing some of the frame parts, I decided just to not make any changes at all to this build, right? And I'm still pretty happy with it overall. It's still a really fun build. I pull it out occasionally, just mess around with it. It's a fun build. I love the laser hound guns. I love the laser diffuse cannons. They all just absolutely slap, right? Now, IOD 1 now does have a sibling build, much like IOD 2 does, which is named GEIST Hound. Now, IOD 1 GEIST Hound has actually seen quite a few changes from the original Elder Hound variant, right? Now, I've replaced the laser handguns for the Werger shotguns, the blue bunkers, and the core, the Albert core, has been switched out for the new Lammergeier core. And the superior generator stats allows me to switch out the generator from the NGI-000 to the VE20C for its superior energy firearm specialization, right? And this build allows the build to just output some really disgusting burst damage, right? And of course, I've also replaced the FCS for the OCULUS, since this is purely a close range build right now. Again, this build can just really output some disgusting burst damage. Especially that blue bunker does, a charged blue bunker on a direct hit does almost as much damage as a full clean volley from both laser diffuse cannons. It's absolutely disgusting amounts of damage you can put out with this thing. I really love this version of the build. I might actually like it more than the original Elder Hound, but Elder Hound's kind of a special place in my heart because it was the first of the IOD series, right? But yeah, that's really all there is to say about GEIST Hound. So let's go ahead and move into IOD 2. Now, for IOD 2, which is now named Old Oculus, the main and also only change here is the generator being changed from the original Santai to the VE20C. And obviously the main thing here is just getting way better energy firearm specialization, right? From 88 to 128 is a very significant damage improvement. When I had originally made this build, I definitely underestimated just how important energy firearm spec is. Maybe at the time, I don't remember, it's been so long, but I may have not even realized that it was a 1-to-1 damage multiplier yet. Maybe not, I don't remember, but definitely way more important than I realized. And the build feels a lot better with this generator, especially during direct hit damage bursts. You do way more damage than the build used to, and it feels a lot better. Now, obviously, there's no downsides to switching up to Santai here because the energy management is a bit more difficult, but it's not enough to, offset the extra damage you get, right? It's so much extra damage. It feels so much better. And yeah, that's all there is to say about Old Oculus. Now, let's move on to its sibling build, which is now named Cosmic Rain. Now, Cosmic Rain has seen a lot more changes than Old Oculus has. First, I've switched out the original apparatus for the new pulse missile launchers, and the main thing here is that one of the apparatuses have been nerfed since I made this build, but more importantly, the new pulse missile launchers just feel really good, especially the charge shots at point blank range. You just shotgun them with your opponent, super satisfying. It does tons of damage, tons of stagger, really good, right? And it does sort of transform the build's playstyle from being a missile rat to almost being a shotgun build with missiles on the back, right? It actually plays a lot more similarly to Old Oculus than it does the original version of this build, right? And the other change here is going to be the generator. I switched out to the Hokushi. It's also been buffed since I made this build. It's kind of the no-brain fit-in for this build. Low weight, high energy. Now, what else is there to say, right? And also, I switched out the FCS for the P10 SLT because there's no reason not to, and I don't remember if I actually switched it in the original build, but I didn't have it saved as being switched, which might just been a mistake on my part, right? Either way, those are the changes that have been made to Cosmic Rain, and overall this build definitely feels a lot better now. It definitely feels a lot less missile ratty. It makes it a lot more fun to play, in my opinion. So that's nice, right? Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to IOD 3. Now, SHATTERMIND, as IOD 3 is now called, has only received one change, and it's once again to the generator. I switched the NGI000 to the VE20C, kind of becoming a trend here of I used to kind of make kind of questionable decisions on generators, right? Now, the main thing here is just that energy firearm specialization, right? 18 might not seem like a lot, but on a direct hit, blue bunker actually makes a pretty big difference in your damage output, and it can be the difference between securing a kill early and not securing it, right? So it's definitely more than worth the trade-off of having the smaller energy bar, and also just generally I feel like energy management is just a bit easier with the VE20C than the coral generators, right? Because they have such a long recharge delay, right? Of course, if you do run them out completely, they do refill almost completely on the recharge, right? But I've just kind of really kind of fallen out of favor for the coral generators. It really takes a certain type of build to really take advantage of those, and I don't play those types of builds very often, right? And so I've made this one change to SHATTERMIND, and it just feels a lot better to play. And man, this build can really put out just be a real annoyance to deal with, right? The laser drones, the explosive thrower can be really hard to get out of because it's just got such a wide area. I absolutely love this build. Laser drones especially, it kind of really prevent your opponent from punishing you for stancing up for the explosive thrower. It's really nice. I love this build. I really do. It's probably my favorite of the IOD series at this point, to be honest. I just absolutely love this build. Anyways, move on to a sneak peek at IOD 4. Now, before I'd say anything else about IOD 4, I just want to mention that IOD 4 and 5 are both very much still works in progress, and pretty much the only thing truly set in stone for these builds are the weapon loadouts, right? Now, moving on, IOD 4 Void Waker is a quad Gatling build taking advantage of the new Lammergeier frame parts, right? Especially the legs. Because despite all the firepower I've got loaded up on this build, you know, the quad Gatlings are pretty heavy, and even the Basho head, which is pretty heavy itself, one of the heaviest heads in the game, I think it's sitting at a hover speed of 390. This thing is fast despite just all the firepower I've got on this build, and it's an absolute blast to play, especially on direct hits. If you've managed your heat correctly, you can do a ton of damage in a direct hit. It's kind of disgusting sometimes just how much damage you can do in a direct hit, despite having no like true burst damage weapons, right? Because the Hubin and the new Xiaoweis all have pretty good direct hit adjustment, and they do good impact as well, right? And kind of the main disadvantage of these weapons previously was that you kind of need to be pretty close range to use them, but they're heavy, right? But the new Lammergeier legs offset this to a very great extent and kind of makes this build work. Now, let's move on to a sneak peek at IOD 5. Now, IOD 5 Blood Moon is basically designed to be a rat catcher. I've got two missiles, the pulse missiles and the VPMs on my right units, and in my left units, I've got the pulse blade and the laser dagger. And kind of the idea here is to chip away at the opponent with the missiles, and then take advantage of the extreme mobility of the Kikaku boosters to just rush in, get a stagger with the pulse blade, and then get a combo with the laser dagger, right? And it can lead to some really devastating results where you combo your down opponent basically in an instant, and it's an absolute blast to play. And actually, thanks to the very like low weight of the weapon loadout here, I can actually stack a lot of pretty heavy frame units on those Lammergeier legs, which I'm using to take advantage of essentially being a mid-weight build with the boost speed of a lightweight with a hover speed of a lightweight, right? And of course, the insane mobility of a melee booster. So this build just takes a lot of those really nice things that I like a lot and kind of combines them all into one. And it just feels really, really good to play. It's really satisfying to get that charged pulse blade into a laser dagger combo. It feels really, really good, right? And again, the pulse missiles are, I absolutely love these things. So, you know, it is what it is. But again, you know, these builds are still being iterated on. But this is going to be pretty much it for this video. As always, hope you guys enjoyed it. Before we go, a quick thank you to our members. As always, any tier of the membership is greatly appreciated. The support helps a lot. I really appreciate it. Again, of course, you get some benefits for being a member. You can, you know, obviously get your name here. You get to see videos a day early. You get the Purple Cat tier and higher, and there's other stuff. Of course, now, that's it for this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one.